How much for a sympathy sip, sweetheart? Or is this one of those support my sad little ghetto dream scams? The words hit like gravel spit from a tire. 3 bikes rumbled to a stop in front of the makeshift lemonade stand just. A fold-up table with 2 bright pictures, paper signs fluttering in the breeze, and a hand-drawn chalkboard that read, 50 fresh lemonade. People walking their dogs paused. A kid on a scooter slowed. The air didn't shift, it stiffened. The man who said it wore leather like a second skin patches stitched over years. One reading Rough Souls MC. His goatee looked greasy. His boots crunched over the curb as he stepped forward, arms flexed like he wanted trouble. Where's your daddy, little girl? He smeared. Or you run this poverty project solo? She didn't flinch, she didn't even blink. Just gently poured lemonade into a plastic cup and set it down with both hands. 50 cents, she said calmly. Another biker chuckled from the side. Man, she thinks we're gonna pay? Nah, the third one grunted. She should be thanking us for stopping. The girl, maybe 10-11, wore a bright yellow sundress, 2 neat braids, and white sneakers so clean they reflected the sun, but her eyes? Quiet fire, steady, not scared. Just waiting. I said, "Where's your daddy?" The first biker barked again, louder this time. Or did he disappear like the rest of them? Across the street, a man at the bus stop stood up. A woman jogging slowed down, phone half raised. A baby in a stroller started to cry. The girl looked up at the biker. Her voice didn't change. He's working, she said. Protecting people. Like you. Protecting? He spat. He's a rent-a-cop? No, came a voice behind them. Firm, measured, like steel drawn slow from a sheath. I am her dad. The man stepped out from a black SUV parked just behind the fence line. 6'2", tan slacks. Polo shirt stretched over a bulletproof vest. Sunglasses pushed up on his head. But the badge? Visible. So was the shoulder holster. The air froze. Forks midair at the taco stand. One of the bikers took a step back. U.S. Marshal, District 4, the man said, flipping his ID just once, but slow enough for everyone to catch it. And you just crossed the wrong sidewalk. The first. Biker laughed, but it cracked halfway through. Hey man, we were just kidding. Little business lesson, that's all. You calling my daughter a scammer? No, I didn't. You calling my neighborhood a joke? Look, where you stood over a child and mocked her family. I'm supposed to believe. That was a joke? Silence. The marshal stepped forward, placing a crisp bill on the table. 1 lemonade, please. His daughter smiled, handed him the cup like it was sacred. Thank you, sir. He sipped, nodded. Perfect. The crowd was watching now. Someone had their phone out. A man whispered, "That's a federal badge." The bikers turned to leave. I didn't say you could walk away, the marshal called. They froze. You've got 2 choices, he said. I can run your plates, check for outstanding warrants, and believe me, I'll find something, or... He looked down at the lemonade stand, then back at them. You can buy a cup. And say, please. The lead biker glanced around. His lip twitched. But he reached into his pocket, pulled out some crumpled bills, and set them on the table. 3 cups, he mumbled. Please. She handed them out one by one, still smiling, but her eyes? Still fire. And don't forget, she added. Gently, I squeezed the lemons myself. They didn't respond. Just walked back to their bikes, heads lower than before. The marshal leaned down beside his daughter. You okay? She nodded. They thought I was weak, he smiled. They were wrong. And as the engines roared away and the crowd slowly resumed breathing, one thing lingered. She never raised her voice. She didn't need to. The lemonade stand came down fast. Not out of fear but precision. Plastic cups stacked. Pitchers sealed. Signs folded like maps. The girl wiped down the table with practiced calm as her father scanned the street one last time, hand resting near his sidearm. Not paranoid professional. You did good, he said quietly. She didn't respond. Just packed her coins into a zippered pouch and climbed into the SUV. By the time they reached the driveway, the front porch light was already on. Her mom stood at the screen door, arms crossed. You handled it? They didn't escalate, he said, just posturing. They always posture until they escalate. She turned to her daughter. You all right, baby? The girl gave a small nod. I didn't cry. Her mother knelt down, placed both hands on her shoulders. You never have to cry for them, but you can cry here, always. That's when the phone buzzed. The father glanced at the screen. Unknown number. He answered anyway. Marshall Henderson. A pause. Then a voice, too smooth. Is this the lemonade stand hero? He didn't blink. Who is this? Another pause. Let's just say, I've got friends in vests too. And not all badges mean justice, Marshall. His hand gripped the phone tighter. State your name, now. The voice chuckled. Maybe start looking into who licenses those biker groups to operate events downtown. You'll find my signature on some of those permits. Click. The line went dead. He stood there a moment longer, phone still at his ear. His wife had frozen mid-step. Someone in office? She asked. He nodded. And dirty. You think he'll come after her? His jaw clenched. They already did. Later that night, the girl sat cross-legged on the floor, sorting coins, nickels, quarters, dimes. Every cup accounted for. Her father watched from the kitchen. Then, you remember what you told me when you first asked to open that stand? She looked up. I said I wanted to build something. No, he stepped into the light. You said, I want people to see me standing for something, even when they don't want to. She blinked. He knelt beside her. There are people out there who hate that, who need to feel bigger than you, because deep down, they know. You're already more. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then, who was on the phone? He hesitated. Someone trying to scare me. Is it working? He smiled, slow and tired. No, but it's making me want to move faster. She set a quarter down hard. Then let's move. The next day, Marshall Henderson walked into the courthouse. No badge on display this time. Just khakis, a pressed shirt, and a small manila folder. He approached a receptionist in the permit office. Hi, he said casually. I'd like to file a public record request. For what? She asked. City permits issued to biker groups in the last 24 months. And your reason? Someone threatened my daughter. The room fell quiet. Behind him, two officers were chatting near the vending machines. One of them stopped, glanced. Over. The receptionist blinked. Let me get my supervisor. He sat down. The folder in his hand was thin but not empty. Inside, snapshots of license plates, a recording transcript, and one blurry photo of the biker's tattoo match too. A known gang affiliate. He wasn't just guessing anymore. When the supervisor arrived, his tone was polite but firm. We've reviewed your badge history, Marshall. I suggest you let this one go. These groups are well connected. Good, Henderson said. Because I'm well connected too. He stood up slowly, leaned in. If any of those men so much as look in my daughter's direction again, I'm not going to file a request, I'm going to file charges. And if this office is involved, I'll drag it into daylight piece by piece. The supervisor didn't answer. Didn't have to. The look on his face said it all. This wasn't just about lemonade anymore. The clip was only 27 seconds. Just a girl standing behind a lemonade stand, a biker towering over her. Then the calm voice, I'm her dad, U.S. Marshal. You just crossed. the wrong sidewalk, then the slow badge flip, then the say please. By sunrise, it had 48,000 shares. By noon, it had a name. Hashtag Lemonade Justice news anchors called it the quietest takedown in America. Commenters called the girl the bravest kid on the block. But inside the Henderson house, the tone was different. Why is our address trending? His wife said, voice tight. Marshall Henderson scrolled through the feed. Someone had geotagged the clip. The Lemonade sign had been clear in the frame. Street name too. Then came the reporters. Then, the trolls. You see this one? She whispered, holding her phone. Look. At Sons of Steel, this little brat's a federal setup. That dad ain't clean either. Lemonade's a front. Wait till we get the real story. At Ride True 88, Marshall's hiding behind his kid. That's low even for them. The girl walked in mid-sentence, clutching her notebook. Is it true? She asked. That people are mad I stood up? Her father turned the phone over. They're not mad at you, baby. They're mad you didn't break. At the local diner, a conversation sparked near the back booth. You see that little girl? Lemonade stand girl? The one with the U.S. Marshal dad? Yeah, word is, she stood her ground better than some grown men I know. A waitress chimed in. You know what? I drove past that stand last week. She was out there in the heat. I rolled down my window and she told me, hard work makes your feet hurt, but it makes your heart strong. Customers laughed. A man in a business suit set down his coffee. I don't care what side you're on, he said. That's character. A teenage boy in a hoodie sat in the corner, watching quietly. He didn't speak. But when he left, he scribbled something on the tip receipt and handed it to the waitress. Tell her she's not alone. Not ever. But not all whispers were warm. In the back of a dusty courthouse office, a man leaned over a desk. Slick suit. Whiskey breath. Same voice from the call. They made her a symbol, he said. So now she's useful, and useful can be dangerous. A young staffer stood nearby, nervous. You want me to push something? No, I want you to pull something. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside, a list of every permit filed by Marshall Henderson in the last 3 years. Field ops, witness protection, surveillance placement. Find one misstep, the man growled. One late report, one skipped log, one technicality. I want this badge off the map by Friday. Meanwhile, the girl sat on the front steps, drawing in her journal. What you're working on? Her dad asked, kneeling beside her. A new sign, she said. One that doesn't just say lemonade, he smiled. What's it say? She turned the page. Power comes in quiet cups. He blinked. That yours? She nodded. They think I'm brave because I didn't scream. But I wasn't quiet because I was scared, Daddy. I was quiet because I meant it. He looked at her a long time, then pulled out his phone. What are you doing? She asked, posting that. He said, word for word. That night, her quote went viral. Again, this time even faster. Poets reposted it. Teachers wrote it on chalkboards. Even a civil rights museum shared the image of her standing tall in front of her stand, fists at her sides. But back at City Hall, the walls were shifting. An assistant knocked on the old official's door. Sir, he said quietly, that permit you asked us to dig through? There's nothing wrong. Henderson's record is clean. The man's eyes narrowed. Then make it dirty. The assistant hesitated. You sure? Let me be clear, the man said coldly. This isn't about lemonade. It's about control. And if the world thinks a little black girl and her badge-waving father get to set the tone in my city, then I might as well turn in my spine. He lit a cigar and smiled into the smoke. The first letter arrived 3 days later. Plain envelope. No logo. Just District Compliance Review typed neatly on the front. Inside, a citation for unauthorized food service operation backdated. $2,400 fine. Threat of escalation. Lemonade? His wife snapped, reading over his shoulder. There. Fining her over lemonade? Henderson scanned the letter twice. No court stamp. This isn't legal. It's pressure. They're targeting our daughter. No, he said coldly. They're targeting me through her. He grabbed his phone, snapped a photo, and sent it to his attorney. Subject. Line: they just fired the first real shot. But it didn't stop. The next morning, his Marshall Field status was suddenly put under review. Pending paperwork discrepancy, they claimed. A week prior, his promotion had been on track. Now, frozen. Just like that, a neighbor texted, "Saw 2 unmarked sedans parked across from your driveway. They're not press." A city inspector walked the sidewalk in front of their house twice, but never came to the door. Then came the email. Subject: Public Threat Management Review from citysafety@civicmail.gov. Body: due to recent public exposure of your identity, your home has been classified as a potential escalation vector. We recommend removing political signage and limiting outdoor business activity, for example, stands, signs, etc., until further notice. It ended with a line in bold. Failure to comply may impact your government housing allowance. Henderson sat in silence, then whispered, "They want her to disappear." Meanwhile, the girl sat at school, staring at her desk. 2 rows up, a student leaned over and whispered, "Are you the lemonade girl?" She looked up. "Yes, you're famous." The teacher glanced their way. The boy kept talking. "My uncle said your dad's making the mayor look weak. He said you should have kept quiet." She tilted her head. "Is your uncle scared of girls with lemonade?" The boy blinked. "I'd be scared too," she said, turning back to her notebook. That night, the family met in the kitchen. Her mom held the printout. "City wants us to shut everything down. Says the stand's a disruption." The girl looked up from her cereal. "So, I can't open again?" Her dad sat across from her, calm, but not soft. "They want you quiet, baby. That's not the same as being wrong." She set her spoon down slowly. "If we stop, does that mean they win?" "No," her mother said. "It means we choose our battles." The girl's eyes burned. "But they started this one," Henderson exhaled, then pushed a folder across the table. Inside, the permit. Legal, filed, time-stamped, signed, laminated. He looked at her like a teammate now, not a child. "You want to open again?" She nodded. "Then we open. But this time, we bring backup." Next morning, a folding table returned to the front yard. Only now it sat beneath a brand new pop-up tent. To the left, a laminated legal permit, zip-tied to the pole. To the right, a portable body camera with red light blinking. And sitting behind it, all same girl, same braids, same white sneakers. But this time, she wore a T-shirt that read, "Peace is louder than fear." Cars slowed. Some honked. A woman parked across the street and just sat there smiling, engine still running. A few houses down, a man in a truck shook his head. "You're gonna get someone hurt, little girl." She just poured a cup of lemonade. 50 cents, she said softly. "Or free if you need it." The man didn't move. But he didn't speak again either. Across town, the mayor leaned back in his chair. "She reopened?" he said, reading the text aloud. His assistant nodded. "With full permits. Body cam too. She's not breaking laws." "Not yet." He stared at the ceiling. "Then we tighten the rules. Rewrite the code if we have to." The assistant hesitated. "Sir, with respect, she's 10. The optics. Don't talk to me about optics. the mayor growled. Talk to me about control. If a child can make our city look spineless, what does that say about the rest of us? The room went quiet. Outside, the lemonade stand stayed open for 3 full hours, and by sunset, the quote on her t-shirt had already trended in 4 states. It started with 1 camera crew. Then came 5. By Thursday, the lawn was half trampled by news vans and folding chairs. The lemonade stand didn't look like a protest. It looked like a press conference in pastels. She still wore the same t-shirt, pieces louder than fear. She still offered lemonade for 50 cents, still smiled, still poured carefully with both hands. But now, each cup was a symbol. And she knew it. A woman with short gray curls stepped up to the table. You probably don't remember me, she said softly. But your dad saved my son once. Witness protection. 2019. The girl tilted her head. Was your son scared? The woman smiled. Until your dad showed up. She reached into her purse, pulled out a crisp $100 bill. I'll take 1 cup and give the rest away. Behind her, 2 more people lined up. Then 6. Then 10. By 2 p.m., there was no lemonade left. But no one left the line. They just stood there waiting. For her, not the drink. Meanwhile, inside City Hall, they raised over 12 grand in 3 days, the mayor muttered, slamming a folder onto the desk. You realize what that looks like? His aide blinked. Like the city fined a child and now people are donating to her? It looks like we lost control, he snapped. A legal officer stepped in. We've been reviewing zoning. If we reclassify her location as residential only, we could technically issue a shutdown. You want headlines that say we raided a lemonade stand? Sir, the aide said cautiously, public sentiment is shifting fast. Then shifted back. He pointed at the folder. Leak something. A tax issue. A permit irregularity. I don't care if we have to invent a procedural violation. If the story becomes Marshall's kid runs illegal operation, we flip the narrative. He leaned forward, eyes sharp. And make sure the girl looks ungrateful. But the public didn't shift. It solidified. By Friday, the girl's quote had made national radio. A Navy veteran sent her a letter that read, You reminded me what quiet courage looks like. A local bakery delivered 3 trays of cookies with a note, For your next stand on the house. Even the school counselor showed up at the stand. In her lunch break, I just wanted to say, she whispered, You've made my job easier this week. Some of the kids who never speak, they're asking questions now. The girl smiled. Questions are how power grows. At home that night, her parents sat in the living room watching footage of her silently handing lemonade to a child in a wheelchair. The reporter's voice cut in. No speeches, no shouting, just a 10-year-old who stood firm when adults tried to crush her. Her mom wiped a tear. I used to think we'd have to teach her strength. Her father nodded. Turns out she was just waiting for the moment. Then the envelope came, certified, heavy seal, hand-delivered, zoning, enforcement violation. Stand must cease operations immediately. Effective, 24 hours. Violation code 3.7b, unauthorized commerce in single-family zone. No warning. No discussion. Just shut down. Her mom dropped the letter. They're really doing it. Her dad clenched his jaw. They rewrote the rule book, mid-game. The girl picked up the letter, quiet. Reading carefully. After a pause, she said, So if it's not a stand? Her mom looked up. What do you mean? She pointed toward the street. If I'm not selling anything, and not standing, then maybe I'm just hosting. Her dad stared at her. You thinking what I'm thinking? He said. She nodded. Lemonade isn't the product, she said. The moment is. Next morning the table was gone. Instead, a picnic blanket lay under the tree. No signs, no prices. Just pictures, cups, and a sign that read, "Community moment, free for all. Stand if you believe." She sat cross-legged. No chair, no register, no protest signs, but when the inspector drove by, the car slowed, then stopped. He rolled down the window. "You running a stand again?" She sipped calmly from her cup. "Do I look like I'm standing?" People around her chuckled softly. He blinked. Drove away. Quiet power had spoken. The system blinked first. The mayor stood behind the podium like it was a fortress. Cameras clicked. Reporters jostled for angles. Behind him stood city officials, a zoning officer, and one uniformed cop picked carefully for optics. All white, all polished. He cleared his throat. Today, we address a growing social media distraction that has unfortunately misrepresented the city's intentions and procedures. Clicks, flashes. This child's lemonade stand was never shut down for political reasons. It was a matter of local compliance. Health codes, zoning safety, nothing more. Reporters nodded. Some scribbled. He continued, "We support youth entrepreneurship, but what we do not support is the weaponization of children to score political points. Excuse me." The voice came from the back, quiet, young, clear. Every head turned. She walked down the center aisle in white sneakers, same t-shirt. Peace is louder than fear. One braid had come loose. Her face calm. No parents, no security. Just her. The mayor froze. "I'm sorry," she said, stopping just short of the podium. You saying I'm being used?" The silence collapsed on itself. Reporters raised their phones. "I'm 10 years old," she said. "But I know what I felt when those men stood over me." She turned slightly. "I didn't sell lemonade to be famous. I did it to buy school. Shoes. My mom said we'd make it work, but I wanted to help." One reporter lowered her phone slowly. Another whispered, "She's doing it again." The girl pointed at the mayor. "You said I broke a rule, then you changed the rules. And when that didn't work, you called me a weapon." She stepped closer. "I'm not a weapon. I'm a witness." Now the mayor's face had changed, rigid, jaw set. "This is a private press conference," he said through gritted teeth. "Remove her? On what grounds?" A reporter asked loudly. Another one stood up. "Yeah. What law is she breaking?" The mayor's aide stepped forward. "We're done here." But the girl WS in single quotes she held up a single laminated sheet. "This is the original permit my dad filed, time-stamped, approved. You find us after it went viral." Another reporter snapped. "A photo. That's an official seal." The mayor's hand twitched at the mic. "This is being taken out of context." "Then let's show the full context," a voice called from the crowd. It was the teen boy in the hoodie. From the diner. He held up a USB stick. "This has unedited security cam footage from the biker incident, including the part your office cut out before leaking it," the mayor snapped. "Security, remove that. Don't." This voice was deep, steady. Marshall Henderson. He stepped forward, slow and tall, badge in full view, eyes locked on the mayor. "If you touch a single civilian in this room," he said, "I will open an official investigation for civil rights interference on federal grounds." Now the room flipped, phones out, cameras rolling, and the girl? She just stepped to the mic, looked straight into the camera, and said, "My name is Amara. I'm not scared of microphones, rules, or adults who forget how to tell the truth." Then she walked away. That was it. But by the next morning, the city's version of events had crumbled. Local outlets aired the full footage. The edited version silently pulled. A city councilwoman released a statement. "It appears this child is more honest than some of us holding office." And the mayor? Now he was under review. Back at home, Amara sat on the porch, sipping lemonade with her mom. I didn't know. You were coming, her mother said gently. Amara smiled. You said not every battle is ours, but sometimes. You hear the silence, and you just know. Her mom nodded. And your dad? He told me not to start a fight, Amara said. He never said not to finish one. Later that evening, a white envelope slid under their front door. No name. No return address. Inside, a handwritten note. You didn't just serve lemonade, you served truth. A citizen, and beneath it, a $500 check. No strings. Just respect. The mayor resigned. Not with fireworks, not with press. Just a typed letter. Slipped out quietly the following morning. The news didn't run it as a headline because something else had taken over the airwaves. Lemonade Girl speaks truth to Power Nation listens. Amara's 47-second mic drop had racked up over 4 million views in 12 hours. A retired judge reposted it with the caption, "This child has more courage than I did at 40. A Harvard law professor stitched her video and simply said, "Give her the keys." At school, things changed, not all at once. Not loud, but in the way eyes softened. In the way silence turned to solidarity. The boy who once mocked her now carried her books. The girl who used to ignore her asked to sit at lunch. Her math teacher paused class on Friday to say, "Courage isn't loud. It's clear. Thank you, Amara. No more whispers. No more sideways stares. Just space." And finally, respect. Meanwhile, the family's mailbox overflowed. Letters, drawings, stickers. One envelope held nothing but a folded piece of paper that read, "Because of you, I started talking again. I'm 9. Another had 3 lemonade tokens taped inside. A note said, "We made these for our daughter's stand. Her name's Gia. She wants to meet you." Amara sat on the floor that night with a pile of letters taller than her knees. Her mom handed her hot cocoa and whispered, "You see what you built?" Amara looked up. "It's not just mine anymore." "No," her dad said, "but you lit the match." Then came the invitation, a sleek envelope. Embossed seal. Office of the Governor, Youth Recognition Council inside. We would be honored to present Amara Henderson with the inaugural Voice of Justice Award for Extraordinary Civic Courage. Her mom blinked. "Wait, Governor?" Her dad read the card twice. "It's real." Amara stayed quiet. Then, "Do I have to wear a dress?" Her parents burst out laughing. The ceremony was small, private, held in a rotunda under a skylight. The size of a swimming pool. Press was limited. But cameras were present. She wore a blazer. Her sneakers stayed. The governor leaned down. "You spoke truth when it was dangerous. You stood still when others wanted you small. For that, Amara, this state owes you something we don't give." Easily, he handed her the glass plaque. The room clapped. But she didn't smile until someone yelled, "Do we still have to pay for lemonade?" Amara looked up. "Only if you're scared of a girl with a pitcher," she said. Laughter rolled. Across the hall. She held up the plaque. "I didn't ask for this," she said, voice calm, mic close. "I just wanted to stand up without shaking." She glanced at her parents. "I still shake, but now I pour anyway." Back at home, the lemonade stand returned. Just for a day. The same table. Same sign, but now the cups were branded with a phrase, "Stand anyway." Customers drove from 2 cities over. A woman brought her twins in matching yellow dresses. A journalist from Chicago showed up, sat on the curb, and just listened. By sunset, they were out of cups. But Amara wasn't tired. She stood beneath the porch light, holding her plaque. A neighbor walked up slowly. White, late 60s. He'd never spoken to them before. "I watched you," he said. Didn't agree at first. Thought your dad made it too big. Amara nodded slowly. But I was wrong, he said. You made it big by staying small, by staying you. She handed him the final cup, free. No hard feelings, she said. Only lemonade, he smiled. That might be the best cup I've ever had. Later that night, her dad tucked her in. She stared at the ceiling. Do you think it's over? He sat at the edge of the bed. Truth doesn't end things, baby. It changes them. So what now? He brushed her braid gently. Now. They have to catch up to you. The school board met on a rainy Tuesday. For once, the room was full. Not with officials, but parents, students, teachers, a few activists. Even a retired librarian with a cane and a sign that read, Listen to. The Lemonade Girl. The superintendent cleared her throat. Item 4B Student Leadership Reform Proposal. Shall we create a permanent student-led advisory panel for policy feedback and inclusion? The room buzzed. One teacher raised her hand. We didn't need. This before Amara. What changed? A young woman in the corner stood up. Everything. She pulled out her phone and played the now famous clip, I'm not a weapon. I'm a witness. No one spoke for 10 seconds, then the vote passed. Unanimously. At the public library, a dusty shelf got replaced. In its place, a yellow painted bookcase with a gold sign that read, Stand Anyway, Youth Courage Collection. Books by children. For children. Stories of protest, resilience, truth. At the top sat a photo of Amara pouring lemonade in the shadow of adults trying to silence her. A 7-year-old boy walked up, tugged his mom's sleeve. Can I be like her? You already are, she whispered. Even the city council shifted. A new councilwoman, young, Latina, sharp, introduced a resolution. All citations against minors operating temporary businesses with legal permits during the past 2 years shall be reviewed, and if unjust, overturned. Someone tried to push back. She was an exception. Not a standard, but the councilwoman just stared. She set the new standard. The resolution passed. So did the movement. But in the background, something darker moved. An old man in a wood-paneled office lit a cigarette with trembling fingers. They've made her into a saint, he growled. A child dictating law. Across from him sat a new face, lean, suited, tech-savvy. We can't attack her directly. She's bulletproof now. The old man smiled bitterly. Then let's aim at the badge behind her. Her father's still flesh. The younger man frowned. You sure? I'm tired of lemonade and headlines, the old man muttered. Let's remind the marshal what real pressure looks like. The next day, a story leaked. Anonymous. Tip. Convenient timing. Federal officer linked to improper use of surveillance footage in personal matter. No details. No dates, just a headline with smoke and mirrors. News anchors picked it up. Some nodded. Some questioned. But one outlet went further, inviting Amara's father for comment. He declined. Amara didn't. She posted a 3-line note on her page. Truth didn't break us the first time. Lies won't break us this time. We don't fear shadows, we pour light. In 12 hours, the hashtag pour light was trending worldwide. Meanwhile, Amara was asked to speak at a nearby university's youth justice symposium. She wore her usual sneakers. No script. Just calm breath and sharp clarity. I'm not special, she said softly. I just knew what it felt like to be looked down on. And I decided not to lower my eyes back. Students snapped. Professors teared up. A graduate student asked, Do you think you changed the system? She thought for a moment. Then said, I think it reminded me that kids see everything. And sometimes we don't wait to grow up before we fix it. At home, her dad opened the door to a quiet envelope taped outside. No stamp. No note. Just a single sheet. You're next. He folded it calmly, walked inside. placed it in the Confrontation the Matzenclef. Fear, she. File labeled threat level, cowards, Amara saw. Said nothing, but that night she placed her old lemonade sign beside the door, facing outwardly, and scribbled one new word underneath it in black marker. Unbothered. That weekend, people from 4 different states showed up on the sidewalk just to take pictures with the now famous front yard. One woman brought a framed poster, Amara in silhouette. Text underneath. The system blinked. She didn't. She handed it to her mom. She saved more than a neighborhood, the woman whispered. She saved belief. Her mom just stared. No words. Just full eyes. And quiet power. The headline hit like a punch. U.S. Marshal misused daughter's stand to build political profile. Claims insider. New witness alleges PR stunt engineered by father weeks in advance. Within an hour, it was on every local station. By noon, it was national. Clips from her stand. Quotes ripped out of context. And worst of all, a blurry video, stitched to make it seem like Amara's dad planted the confrontation with the bikers. Evening talk shows ran it with flashing red banners. Is this child being used? Hero or hoax? Back at the house, Amara sat at the table silent. Her mom paced. Her dad made calls. Nobody was yelling, but the air felt like glass, thin, breakable. They fabricated that footage, her dad said. There's an audio delay in frame 12. They sliced it. Her mom muttered, they're scared. They're going nuclear because nothing else worked. Amara looked down. They want me gone. Her father knelt. They want your silence. They always did, but your voice got louder. She looked at him. What if this time they actually win? He took her hand. Then we remind them. We don't win through volume. We win through truth. The smear campaign was ruthless. An anonymous source leaked a supposed disciplinary warning against Henderson from 3 years ago. It was nothing, just a missed form, but the headlines painted it as corruption. Talk radio buzzed. One anchor leaned into the mic. 10-year-old becomes symbol, and suddenly her dad's a folk hero? Come on, feels staged. Social media split. Supporters pushed back. But trolls flooded her pages with venom. Her favorite quote, "Stand anyway," was twisted into memes mocking her family. Her mom shut down the comment sections. We weather the storm, she said. We don't surf it. Then something shifted. An independent journalist, mid-30s, wheelchair-bound, known for deep dives, released a full expose, frame by frame. Audio verified, metadata checked. The verdict? No staging. No cuts. The video was authentic. The lie was the headline. She ended the article with one final line. Smearing a child to protect adults? That's the hoax. It went viral in hours. Support flooded back like a breached dam. Teachers reposted it. Military veterans shared stories of their own daughters standing tall. And a tech company offered to fund a permanent youth integrity fund in Amara's name with no strings attached. Then came the unexpected. A former city attorney stepped forward. On live television. She admitted the truth. The mayor's office had attempted to alter city code in response to Amara's stand. They had fabricated the fine. They had authorized the zoning violation post-approval. Her final statement hit hardest. They tried to erase her light because it showed every flaw in their walls. But all it did was show the cracks. That night, Amara stood at her window. Same lawn. Same patch where the table once sat. Now quiet. Her dad joined her. You know what the hardest part is? She asked. What? Not knowing what they'll try next. He nodded. Fear's loudest right before it breaks. They stood in silence. Then Amara whispered, I think I'm ready for it to be over. Her dad looked at her. It's not over, he said. But you're over the part where they get to define you. She turned to him. I want to take it down tomorrow. The sign? The whole thing. The blanket, the table, the shirt. He nodded slowly. That's your call. She smiled faintly. I just want to go back to being a kid. You never stopped, he said. The next morning they packed up everything. No cameras, no fanfare. Just Amara, her parents, and the pieces of something that had once been just a table with a pitcher. On the grass, where the stand had stood, they left a small wooden plaque painted in quiet yellow. Here, a child stood, and the system blinked. Across town, a classroom discussed protest. A little boy raised his hand. Is it true one kid changed the law? The teacher smiled. No, she changed people. The laws just followed. The grass had grown back. No table. No cups. No chalk signs. Just a small wooden plaque on the Henderson lawn that cars still slowed to read. Tourists still came by, took quiet photos, and left lemonade bottles like flowers. It had been 6 months. No interviews. No press. Amara went back to school, her braids longer. Her smile quiet again, but her name never left the city, because in May the city renamed the block Amara Way. The sign was simple. White letters on soft green. No gold, no ribbon. Just the truth, hanging where everyone could see it. At the dedication, the mayor's replacement gave a short speech. Honest, no spin. When we forget to listen, the young remind us. When we fear the truth, they carry it anyway. This street will never forget who reminded us how to stand. A week later, her school counselor pulled her aside. There's someone who wants to meet you, she said gently. He asked permission. Didn't assume it. Amara blinked. Who? The woman smiled. You'll see. In the gymnasium, a chair was set out. Waiting. She stepped in. Alone. No press. No parents. And sitting in the folding chair was the biker. The first one. The tall man from the day everything started. Clean shaved now. Different jacket. No patches. He stood up slow, unsure. Didn't come to cause trouble, he said. Didn't come to be forgiven either. Amara crossed her arms. Then why are you here? He nodded. To say I saw you. Too late, but I saw you. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a coin. Tarnished. Heavy. Vietnam vet gave this to me when I was 18, he said. Sighed. Don't speak unless your words can hold weight. I didn't listen back then. Should have. He placed the coin on the floor between them. I watched that footage. Watched you stand there and not flinch. And I knew I'd been loud for too long. Amara didn't speak. He looked down. I didn't get a second chance with my daughter, he whispered. But if I could thank one girl for showing me what strength looks like. He trailed off. Silence. Then. Did you ever taste the lemonade? She asked quietly. He blinked. What? You mocked it. Poured it out. He shook his head slowly. She walked to the corner, grabbed a paper cup from her bag. She carried one now. Always. Like a signature. Pulled a bottle of lemonade from her thermos, poured it. And handed it to him. Try it, she said. This time without the hate. He took a sip, paused, and cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quietly. You were a better adult that day than I've ever been, he said. She shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe I was just tired of adults acting like kids. That weekend, Amara finally visited the new library wing. The Stand Anyway collection had grown. Now over 200 books. Kids had started sending in their own essays, letters, art, some signed just with first names. One drawing showed her, standing under a storm cloud, pouring lemonade anyway. Underneath, she made the rain taste sweet. Her. Dad framed that one, hung it in the hallway. Next to it, the plaque from the governor, the original permit, and a faded photo of the first stand. In the center, a simple brass plate read, She didn't speak to change the world. She stood because it needed changing. 1 year later, a child opened her own lemonade stand 3 blocks away. A girl with braces, nervous, but standing tall. A woman asked, "Why here?" The girl smiled. This street remembers things, especially girls who don't flinch. Amara didn't build a movement. She reminded the world one still mattered. And across the country, in parks and schools and neighborhoods that once dismissed children, like her, something quietly changed. Not the rules, the standard.